Can we have your attention, please? The program is about to start.
Nothing wrong with Rob's lungs.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm State Representative Kevin Kuros. I represent the towns of Uxbridge, Blackstone, Millville, and Bellingham. And just maybe 30 seconds ago, Ryan and I were saying, you know, geez, who has a loud voice that can call this room to order? And 3 people simultaneously said Robino. So thank you, Rob. Who incidentally is the publisher of a fantastic website called Red Mask Group. I would encourage each and every one of you to visit periodically and stay abreast of what's going on in the conservative blogosphere. So, delighted to be here tonight with Ryan. We all know Ryan, we all love Ryan. He's worked hard for so many of us as candidates, as colleagues. And now Ryan has the pleasure of working in the State House, and from all accounts is doing a fantastic job. It really is pretty interesting that we've been going to a lot of these types of events supporting selectmen, and a lot of people like to call the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, the finance committees of the world, the farm team. Okay. And while that's a good notion, I'd like to think of a more positive term, the launch pad. Because I remember when I first got elected to the Board of Selectmen in the town of Uxbridge, this is 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer, geez, time flies. And I was at a GOP meeting, and they were talking about the farm team. And when I said to myself, you know, geez, I just got elected to the highest elected position in my town, and now I'm on the farm team, you know. So we're going to start referring to these as the launch pad, if we could, because from, you know, boards of selectmen and FinComs and school committees come the next legislator. You know, as you look at my freshman class of legislators from 2010, probably the vast majority of us came from a board of selectmen table. Or some other venue like that. It's a great way to build experience, learn the political process, learn the way Beacon Hill works, or in many cases does not work. And I think we've all, as selectmen, felt the pain when Beacon Hill's not worked as well as we could. Really great turnout tonight, though, and Ryan deserves it. You know, he. You know, I believe he's the youngest selectman in the history of Blackstone, so that's a very, very nice thing to note. And he's no wilting flower, if any of you have ever watched the selectman meeting. So, and if you haven't, I encourage you
from Blackstone, right?
Yeah. I encourage you to pull up the Blackstone website and stream one of them someday, because it's pretty entertaining sometimes. You know, it's the must-see TV. But we need more Ryans in the world, and to really just help kind of push towns in the right direction. And you can't do it alone, and you need to build alliances, and that's what this is all about. You know, on Beacon Hill, what's fascinating all the time is you're with somebody on one bill, and you're diametrically opposed with that same person on the very next bill. But it's not personal, it's business, and it's perspective, you know, and it's politics. And you can, you know, disagree without being disagreeable is the old adage, but it's so true and it's so important. You know, it's really been an honor for me to serve the legislature for the last 3 years. We're going on 3 years now. And this is one of the few venues, actually, where I can say I am the ranking member of the House. We have Leah Cole here with us. As many of you know, Leah was elected in the special election, but which does give me seniority, actually. So for once in the room, I say I have seniority in the House, which is fantastic. It's a great feeling for the next half hour at least here. So we've got a very special guest with us tonight. Can't say enough about this guy, Charlie Baker. All of us know him in one way, shape, or form. I met Charlie for the first time. Our careers crossed paths for about a month, about, I don't even know how many years ago, 15 years ago maybe, at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. I was doing some consulting work at the time, And my company was working for Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. We were taking care of, doing some care and feeding of some of their old claim systems, and they were going to combine them all and do all kind of stuff. Charlie had come in, and that organization was on the brink of ruin. You know, it was, I think it already declared bankruptcy or reorganization. It was not looking good whatsoever. And Charlie had been part of the governor's administration, left that to go into Harvard Pilgrim and turn it around. And I had the distinct privilege of being on an email blast list of the regular updates that Charlie would provide to everybody in Harvard Pilgrim. And when you're taking a company and trying to turn it around, there are real tough decisions and real tough but honest conversations you have to have with people. This guy knows how to turn things around. Okay, I saw it firsthand, you know, and the way he treated people with dignity and respect. Some people had to be walked out the door because they were downsizing different departments. You know, they signed a large contract with an IT service provider, for example. You know, some people move their employment from Harvard Pilgrim to another employer. He was you know, very dignified in the way he handled that. Gave people hope and optimism. It was never, you're moving to Kuros systems because the world's coming to an end. You're moving to Kuros systems because this is going to give you better opportunities for you, for your family, for your careers. And I saw these communications firsthand by being part of, you know, having the pleasure to work with Charlie. So with no further ado, I'm delighted to introduce you all again to Charlie Baker, who I hope will be our next governor.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I was reintroduced to Kevin one day when I was listening to the radio, and Governor Patrick was on the radio talking about something. This was circa 2009, 2010, and this fellow called in, and he was a selectman, Kevin Kuros, and he went at it with the governor on local aid and support for cities and towns. And it was, what did you refer to it as? It was a disagreement without being disagreeable. Sort of.
He didn't feel that way.
Yeah. But I remember listening to it and thinking, wow, this guy's got some serious backbone. I mean, not a lot of people will speak truth to power, and Kevin has no trouble with that and never has, which is one of the reasons why it's so much fun to have him in the legislature. So I decided, I'm 56 now, and this is the last week of the summer, and our oldest just moved to Chicago. He graduated from college last year, he got a job, so he's now 2.5-hour airplane right away. And this past Saturday, our middle son went off to Union. He's a football player, and he went off to do the weigh-in and the August practice before school starts. And all we have left now is our 16-year-old daughter, who my wife and I think are going to be tackling by the ankles every morning and telling her she can't leave. And she'll be complaining about how it's supposed to be the teenage girls who bring all the drama into the house, and instead it's going to be the parents. So this is a particularly interesting time in our lives. So I'm just going to talk a little more personally tonight and just start by saying that Kenny and Ken, you guys have done one heck of a job with this young man right here. Not every child is a reflection of their parents, but I think it's fair enough that the really great ones always are. And I got to know Ryan because I live in Swampscott. Now, Swampscott's a 2-hour ride from here. All right, so how did I get to know Ryan? Because I live in Swampscott. And the answer is Ryan spent his college years driving from here to Salem State to go to school there. And he also was the campaign manager for Leah Cole and her successful run for. And the first time I met Ryan, we were talking. I said, "Oh, really? You're a student at Salem State? That's great. That's right around the corner from my house. You know, where'd you grow up? I grew up in Blackstone. Okay, and this, that, and so where do you live? I live in Blackstone. I told you that already. Weren't you paying attention?" And I literally was like, "Seriously? You live in Blackstone and you go to Salem State?" Yeah, big grin on his face. I get up every morning at 5:30 and And I'm really honest, I'm thinking to myself at the time, when I was in school, you know, if the temperature fell below 45 degrees and it was more than a block to get to my class, I had to fight myself out of bed to get up and go. And this guy is playing a completely different hand, and playing it with a tremendous amount of positivity and optimism and all the rest. And I just thought, wow, that's really something. And then he lays on me the fact that in addition to all that, he's also a member of the Board of Selectmen in his hometown. And now I'm feeling thoroughly inferior. Although I was a member of the Board of Selectmen in my hometown in Swampscott, so at least I understood what that was all about. Like me, Ryan didn't have the guts to run for school committee. Because that's where the really tough stuff goes on. But when I get asked if I would come out and say a few words on his behalf, that is like a layup to a former basketball player like me. Having a chance to come out and say a few words on behalf of a kid like this is a no-brainer. This is exactly the kind of person we should all want in our neighborhoods. It's the kind of person we should want in our families. It's the kind of person we should want working in our communities. It's the kind of person we should want serving in our communities. It's the kind of person we should want representing us, because he is the very best of what this part of the world is all about, which is honesty, integrity, respect. Everybody knows Ryan's got a point of view, okay? And he is certainly perfectly happy to share it with you, whether you want to hear it or not. But he will always do so in a way that's respectful and courteous and firm. And in public life especially, and in local government, where, you know, you go to the supermarket or the dry cleaner or, you know, the gas station or the ball field, you're going to hear about it from the people who watch cable news.
Betty's Donuts, for those of you.
Dunkin' Donuts in Swampscott. You're going to hear about it, okay? And, you know, somebody said earlier, you really can't beat being a member of the local Board of Selectmen in terms of the tremendous pay and the fabulous adulation you get for doing that work. But the simple truth is, it is about as accountable as government gets. And, you know, one of the reasons I'm a big local government guy, and one of the reasons, frankly, I spent 8 years working in state government and I ran for governor in 2010 is because I'm a big state government guy. I mean, I think, you know, I'm a Jeffersonian, right? I think the government that's closest to the people most of the time is the one that's going to be held most accountable, held to the highest standards, and expected to perform to the greatest level on behalf of the people that it represents. And a guy like this, you have exactly what you're looking for. And I'm thrilled to be here, Ryan. I donated today online so that I would not be one of those people who, you know, came to your fundraiser and said, "Hey, it's so good to see you, buddy," and then without ever sort of stepping up and doing the right thing.
Did anyone check Kevin?
But I certainly hope and look forward to a very bright political future for you in public service, because, as I said earlier, folks, this is what we want representing us. This is the kind of person we want tackling the really hard issues we're going to face as a community and as a state going forward. And I couldn't be prouder to have the opportunity to be here tonight and introduce Ryan to all of you. Ryan, thank you.
First, I have to say thank you to a couple of people. Charlie, thank you so much for that. You know, one of my favorite Charlie Baker stories was when he was running for governor. And he would periodically send out email blasts of what's going on with the campaign. And I specifically remember one coming through. And Sean O'Brien was sitting in the student government office with me. He went to Salem State with me. And this email came through, and I was giddy, and I saw it. It said, "A baker's dozen." And it had under, I printed it out. And I put it in the student government office. I wanted all the young senators to see what Charlie was all about. And on the top said Baker's Dozen, and it said 13 reforms for Massachusetts, and it listed every one of them. And I was excited. I'm going through them, and a couple of my friends turned to me and they go, "I'm not voting for this guy." And I'm like, "Why? Charlie's great. Look at these reforms. These are common sense ways to fix Massachusetts." And they said, "He can't count." He said Baker's Dozen and there's 13 reforms on it. So that's what we're up against. Luckily, I had terrific parents and grandparents to teach me what a baker's dozen is.
That is really good.
But above all for me, Larry's been an everyday advisor to me. I call him about once a day, mostly yelling about the Blackstone town government and how bad it can be at some times. But Larry's always there to kind of level me out and put me in the right direction. So, and I couldn't do any of this without him. As many of you know, I'm a state employee now, and I'm not allowed to organize or do any kind of fundraisers, even for myself. And Larry and Chanel and Robin and my mother really put this all together, and I couldn't have done it without them. Thank you very much. And last but not least, thank you for everyone who came. It means a lot to me to see this much support. It's really touching. You know, I was freaking out about 4 hours ago. My mother can attest to that. And it means a lot to me to see people from Bellingham, people from Blackstone, people from around the state. Swampscott, Uxbridge, but it really... Leominster. It really means a lot to me. And Oxford, the wonderful Bob Shed. But it means a lot to me. And you know, as far as Blackstone goes, we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to fight at the State House. We're fighting on all fronts, and I believe we can really change the way our direction of our town and the state's going. So, thank you very much.